things are going to change. I get more active, starting the walking group, meeting people, and just getting really fit, hopefully.
You don't have to give up everything to be healthy, and you don't have to be a size 10 to be healthy. It's anything, just getting out there, getting some fresh air. It changes your social and emotional well-being as well as your body shape. And for me and my son, it was the best decision I could have ever made. I decided to choose life.
It's important for all of us, even if we don't have chronic disease, just to keep independent. And that's my, I think one of my #1 goals is to enable people to keep well and independent for as long as possible.
Because I don't smoke, I can actually get fit. I've got a bit more of a grasp about what it is to actually get fit, what that entails.
And that's the biggest impact that I do see on people's health in relation to smoking and their diet, because they spend a lot of their income on cigarettes.
There's one lady who's actually quit, yeah, and she's finding the exercise with boot camps so much easier. Yeah, she's giving it like 200%, and she's not half as puffed as the ones that still smoke. But you just got to start somewhere. You got to say, right, I'm going to cut down, and then gradually do it, and then be proud of yourself when you do it, because you'll just find everything so much easier. Just playing with the kids easier, let alone exercise. Yeah.
You'll hear me, but I can keep up. This makes a big difference.
Yeah, I think it's really healing actually. My name's Michelle Gray, and I work with the Mallee District Aboriginal Health Services to provide diabetes education. A couple of years ago I did the Heart Foundation walking coordinators course, and so we've been trying to get walking groups happening over the last few years. January this year we had our first boot camp that we ran, and a lot of the older ones were asking. We had a specific session for them on a Wednesday morning, and a lot of the older ones were asking to continue that program. So from that we started the walking group.
I was talking to some people yesterday telling me about the walking group that they have, and decided, yes, I'll come down, meet new people and try and get a little bit fitter than I am. But when you've got the riverfront, it's the perfect spot to walk along. You don't realise how far you've gone, you enjoy the scenery, see the paddle boats go past, get to chat to people along the way. No, it's a good area.
Do you want to sit down on a nice spot on this chair? Okay. And we're going to do, it's cold. We're going to do some dips. So if your feet are closer, they're easier. Okay. Further out, they're harder, okay? And you just lift your bottom off and hold your weight with your hands. We're aiming at people with chronic disease. We appreciate that some people will only be able to walk short distances, and so we modify the program then to allow those people to participate. From a diabetes perspective, we're talking about insulin resistance, and exercise helps to reduce that insulin resistance. It helps our bodies to function better, keeps our joints moving, and exercise, helps people with arthritis keep able to do their activities of daily living by keeping those joints lubricated.
I want to see my grandchildren. I want to do more things with my boys, even though they're 17 and 18, but they lead a very healthy life. And it's just going to make me a better person, I think. I know I'm going to be healthier, fitter, and just look good, I suppose. So I can feel it all up here.
Yeah. And if people can at least be physically active, if they're not doing anything, to come out and be part of the walking group once a week, that is better than not doing anything. And a lot of research that's been done with people with
mental illness and chronic disease has shown that there are lots of benefits from participating in an exercise group, even if it is only 1 day a week.
I've heard about this program, it was advertised in The Guardian, and I did a bit of research and saw the program they ran in Mildura, and I thought, I've got to be on that. I'm so on board, I want to help the community, and I just thought this is such a great idea. And then when the position became available for it to run in Swan Hill, I was just like, have to be on board. This is just an amazing program. My background is early childhood education. I did family daycare from home for 5 years, and this year I've decided to have a change and do my Cert 3 and 4 in Bendigo in fitness. Almost finished Certificate 4, which makes me a personal trainer. It come from my own journey, from being unfit and overweight, where I'd walk from Safeway. I wouldn't walk from Safeway. I'd park my car from Safeway to the chemist, which is only a couple hundred metres. Like, I was that unfit. And one day I joined the gym and some people helped me, and I want to help other people. Started off, everyone had their health checks. I come along to the local health centre, did their measurements, weighed in, had a before photo taken, filled out their form, any injuries, so we knew how to train them. And then we got into it, and I think we're into about week 7 now. So yeah, fantastic. Tuesday and Thursday nights we get together and have a rocking boot camp. I just make a general program, and then when it comes to the night, if people aren't comfortable with an activity, I just talk to them and we adapt it. So for example, if someone isn't comfortable skipping with the skipping rope, they can just skip on the spot, air skip, or they can just get the skipping rope and swing it, because it's still moving. As long as they're keeping their heart rate up and still moving their body, that's all we ask for, and they're comfortable with that and they know that. Hopefully it's going to be ongoing, because just people's lives are just, I could see it, they're going to be changed. Like, there's people there that wouldn't have been able to even get near touching the ground, and they're able to touch the ground. Like, just, it's going to make carrying the shopping easier, or picking up the kids, playing with the kids is the major factor. Like, being able to get in there and do things that you couldn't do before, having that motivation and the energy. Oh, tomorrow I'll change. But tomorrow never comes. You have to do it. Do it today. When the opportunity comes, just do it, because it makes every day so much better. You've got more energy. You just want to get up and go in the morning.
Coming to see you again about my feet being diabetic, I am. I've changed shoes like you told me to. As you
So when people ask me about footwear advice, I like to use a shoe as an example, just to demonstrate the key features of a shoe, especially for commencing exercise, that you want to look for. So I often start with demonstrating that the heel counter is a vital part of the shoe. You want that to be nice and firm and supportive, so that your foot's not rolling around too much. So I get them to actually feel that that's nice and firm and supportive. The next part that I get them to look for is the sole of the shoe, and that's supportive. It's not too flexible. You don't want to be able to twist that too much. You want it to flex at the toe because that's where you want your foot to bend. I also suggest that laces are a best type of fastening for the shoe. Lets the foot be held into the shoe, stop it from sliding forward too much. I get them to ensure that it's not too shallow, there's deep enough and wide enough at the toe. Get them to have a feel around that there's no sort of stitching that's going to irritate or rub. I also suggest that a removable insole in the shoe is good for any instances where orthotics or insoles might be necessary to add a bit more support. They feel quite good. They've got the nice firm heel counter where you get a lot of the support for your foot, and through the sole of the shoe, nice, not too flexible. People ask me if they always need to wear socks for exercise. My advice is that socks are really important when you're wearing shoes. It helps to stop any friction and rubbing inside the shoes, and they're very important, and stop, you know, from getting smelly feet and irritation and rubbing. I often recommend like a blend of a sock, not like a full-on cotton sock, because they can get quite abrasive. So my advice to someone that is getting a blister when they first start exercise is to stop and deal with it straight away. Don't think that it's going to go away. There's obviously a reason for it to be there, so you need to address that so that it doesn't become a bigger issue. However, with someone with diabetes, when their sensation and their feeling starts to reduce, it's often, I advise to check every time after exercise, check your feet just to see if there's something they're not noticing, if there's rubbing or irritation that they're not feeling, because that's really important with diabetes.
Okay, do you want to take a seat? Yep. Okay, so how you been going?
Yeah, right, good.
Pretty good? Yeah. Okay.
I'm James Peterson. I'm from a small town at the top of New South Wales called Brewarrina. So I'm a Uralo Neembar boy. My family and I moved to Mildura when I was about a 10-year-old. I used to be a smoker. I smoked for about 15 years. And one morning I woke up and I had a hoarse sort of a voice. And I just thought it was a cold, so I didn't do too much about it. And it carried on for a couple of months. And then my wife one morning said, I think it's time for you to get your voice back, so go and see a doctor. So I started undergoing tests and things all around the district and around different areas of things. And it turns out that I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. It was a bit of a shock. And so I ended up quitting smoking on that morning and never touched another one. That was over 2 years ago now. There's heaps of changes. I changed what I drink, what I eat. I'm able to play with the kids for longer. I'm able to do different things, try different things, because I've got all my tastes and stuff back.
We talked about some different things last time. One of those was some physical activity. And ways that you could increase your physical activity. Have you managed to do any of those things we talked about in the last?
All this year I've been playing football and I've been made the golf nationals, so I get to travel away with the Indigenous boys this year in October to Canberra and play the golf nationals, which I'm really, really pleased about. And that's all because I gave up smoking. The message that I actually do put across to my wife and my family members and things like that is that not really so much about me having cancer, is like the rights and wrongs about smoking. You know, I ask them questions about what does it do? What does it make you feel better? You know, does it make you taller? You know, can you eat more, or can you have more with the kids and stuff? And they always come back to that. It makes me feel better, but down the track, I said it made me feel better for years and years, but now it's making me feel, really sick all the time.
Thank you.
Basically, when a person has type 2 diabetes, there are other types, but for today we'll just talk about type 2. Type 2 is basically when your pancreas, so that's the organ in the body that produces insulin, which is a hormone, it is no longer functioning properly. Now, we don't know exactly why, but it is thought that in some people the body attacks the cells in the pancreas that produces insulin. So that's why it might not be producing enough insulin. And also in some people it is thought that the insulin that they do produce might be a bit faulty, so it might not have the same effect on the body than an insulin that was produced properly.
My name is Stephanie Acosta. I'm a dietitian at Swan Hill District Health, and I'm also specialising in diabetes, so undergone a course to become a diabetes educator.
You got sugar in the blood, or glucose in other words, and this glucose is basically used as energy for every cell in your body. Your muscles need glucose because it's a fast burning energy source, so you can use things like fat for energy, but glucose is the preferred source of energy. So things like your brain, it really needs that glucose to function. If you don't have enough glucose in the blood, or not enough is getting to the brain from the blood, that's when you get some problems with the brain function there. So with this glucose, what you're basically looking at is the body wants to have it in a level that's not too high but not too low. In type 2 diabetes, most of the time your sugar levels will be too high. The only times that you might risk going too low is if you're on certain tablets, or if you're on insulin. So insulin.
Salt can be added to foods to, as some people say, to add flavour. People can be unaware that there are high levels of salt already added to foods. It's quite a cheap ingredient that manufacturers know they can add to food to make them taste good. And it can also be an addictive taste. You see people when they have a packet of chips and they open that, they have a bit and then they end up eating the whole packet before they know it. For some reason they just want more and more of that taste. With that comes what we called your taste threshold. So some people who have a high salt diet can have a higher threshold, which means they need more salt in order to taste that salt. So they may relate to food tasting good when it tastes salty, because they really can't, they're disguising all the other tastes in food and therefore don't really relate the other tastes that may come with that food.
The doctor's like, I've tried this, I've tried this. I know people don't like needles. So I don't
when you do smoke, you do get cells being damaged, and when you smoke, you're contacting that cigarette and all the vast amounts of chemicals that should not be in the human body through the smoke, and they do come in contact with the taste buds in the tongue, so they do have an impact on the taste and appetite also. So if you do smoke, a lot of patients do say, I will put on a lot of weight as soon as I stop smoking, and that may be related to people having that smoking habit as an appetite suppressant. So that's the kind of link that it might be physiological, it might be emotional.
Well, my name's Mandy Caddy. I'm 34. About 8 years ago, I was about 123 kilos, living in Alice Springs with my son as a single mum, and I decided that I was actually going to quit smoking. So what I did was I started walking. I'd walk for 10 minutes and my feet would hurt, but slowly and slowly I got further and further. After about 12 months, I'd lost about 60 kilos. With the walking, your diet sort of, you crave different foods. I got a bit game with my foods, tried some brown rice, a bit of brown spaghetti. You know, try and change the diet for my son. My son was quite an ADHD type of child that was really hyper, and that was hard. Then I moved to Mildura about 5 years ago and started working at Madaz. I was a human resources manager. About 6 months ago, I decided that I needed a bit of a change. Working in human resources can be a bit stressful at times, and being a single mum was pretty hard, never being able to go to school functions. So I decided that I'd like to work as a personal trainer. I mean, I loved the gym, I loved exercising, and I wanted to make a difference in someone else's life and show them what I could achieve, that they could achieve.
So everyone understand what they're going to be doing? It's 8 sets, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds rest. If you have any questions, there'll be people.
And I applied for the position of a regional healthy lifestyle worker, and I was successful. Then I've since then studied to become a personal trainer. Been here about 6 months working with community, staff, trying to change their lives just a little bit.
So you're doing just your lunges with your weights and walking to the kitchen and back?
Tonight's program is so positive because people get to come in, it's the flexibility, they can leave their day behind, and it doesn't matter if they're 5 minutes late, you know, the door doesn't close. They come in and they're allowed to have a joke, they're allowed to communicate. We don't, you know, set them up in a straight jacket and make them exercise. It's flexible, it's a happy environment.
Then we're going to jump squats, so we're just squatting and jumping onto burpees. Does everyone know how to do a burpee?
It enables the parents to bring their kids, like tonight. It encourages the entire family unit. It doesn't segregate that unit, which is so important that we do spend as much time as possible with our family, with our neighbours, or, you know, with our friends, because we're working so hard and we have such demanding lifestyles and lives. So, yeah, it's having the kids and that environment that's it's creative and it allows it to be realistic.
Within Mildura, Swan Hill, Robinvale, it's been really positive across the region. Everyone's keen to get involved. People I'd never thought would ever come to the gym and harass me every day when I'd go to the gym, and now coming to the gym, they're having a good time. They're understanding that it's not about just the exercise, it's about getting out, being around people, taking home a positive attitude.
It's a part of what we do, and it's a part of what any trainer must do to sustain a client, is give them positive feedback and constructive feedback too, because people need to be pushed and need to be told that perhaps things aren't perfect as well, and that maybe they've got the wrong outlook or do have the right outlook, whatever. It's just, you know, continual tapping in that right direction.
Everyone perceives that when you go to the gym, everyone stares at you and judges you. I can tell you now, they're too busy dying to be staring at anyone. I would not have a clue who's standing beside me when I'm working out. I don't have time and I don't even think about it.
When you are feeling flat, do you go and exercise? Absolutely. When I'm feeling at my worst, that's when I know that this is the muscle that I have to use and I have to go. When I'm feeling sluggish, when I'm feeling down, when I'm feeling, you know, things are getting to me, that's the time. That's the best time. That's, you know, motivate yourself to just put the shoes on.
Walking's great. If you can walk for 30 minutes a day, then just walk. I don't ask any more of anyone, just to give it a go. I think when you start going to the gym, you either love it or you hate it. And if you love it, then keep going. If you hate it, then just keep walking. Choose life. Yours and your family's. You make one change, you'll save their lives, live longer.